We're going to be taking a look at best practices in presenting because as awesome as we all may be at creating great designs, great renderings, great projects, at the end of the day, we've got to sell these great projects. So let me share with you some best practices from folks just like you in how they take these renderings and present them to a client to sell the job. Now, as we go in and we're going to focus on best practices in presentation, these aren't ideas of mine, just like the designs aren't mine. I've actually talked to other folks just like you, seen what great ideas they have, and I'm going to share them with the community now. I would say one of the best practices that I see in the design community is actually planning. Planning what I always call the project or decision journey of the client. I'm not going to jump around and, from idea to idea to idea. I have already mapped out what I want to discuss. So if we take a look at a couple of ideas that I see in the design community, I personally really love an organized story. Now, right now, I am using PowerPoint to demonstrate this. But if you take a look at this, you'll see that you could take PowerPoint slides. You can create, let's say, a background. You'll see here that I have gone through and I have organized all the slides. So I create like a template background. So a lot of businesses, when they're going to present their ideas to a customer, they actually go and create their own templates. That way they can give a professional presentation to their client, whether it's in their closing room or whether it's on your mobile device or just on your computer in their home. It's a professional appearance and presentation. And it's not just about creating the backdrop slides, it's about organizing and presenting the way you want. Because when you create a document like this and you include all the information that you want to give to your customer, this keeps you on track and focused, and all you have to do is go forward and backward to see all the materials. Now, I happen to be using PowerPoint right now, but there's certainly, dozens, if not more dozens, of applications out there that will do the same thing. Now, let's talk a little bit more about marketing before we actually get into how to create these great renderings. Now, you are a professional kitchen and bath designer. And that's what we want you to focus on, as being a professional kitchen and bath designer. When you're thinking about creating presentations to your clients, you're not necessarily a marketing person either. So like me, you're looking for great ways to create background slides, to be able to create impact with your client while you're trying to sell your space that you've just designed. There's lots of services out there that can make you pretty proficient when it comes to the marketing side and creating these presentations. For instance, there's companies like Shutterstock, BigStock, Dreamstime, iStock. Matter of fact, you'll see some images here that I've copied and used in this presentation or recent presentations. See that I'm actually logged into one of these sites right now. These are all images that I use in presentations to impress clients. But I didn't create these items. I simply went out to a site like this and I bought them from people that are much more creative than I am. And you'll notice that when I go into a site like this, if I simply typed in search, you could type in anything. I could type in happy customer. And there are professional images that somebody who's a lot more artistic than I am has created that I can use in these slides to help sell. Again, these are complementary items to enhance your customer's experience as you're presenting to them. So don't forget, things like this are available to you as well. Let's jump back over to the PowerPoint. I want to show you something else I think is really, really cool. I've noticed a couple of people doing this recently. I really like this because I've done this for years. 2020, a number of years ago, asked me to go out and buy a software called Camtasia, which allows me to actually screen capture my computer. So I can go in and record videos like the tips that you may see on our website. They were all recorded on my computer using something called Camtasia. I think it's $299. I've noticed a number of designers actually using video software to capture their presentations to their clients. So they can actually go in, make a presentation, record it very easily on their computer, record it extremely easily, share it with their client. Their client can view it now, they can replay it again tonight, they can replay it again tomorrow, they can replay it at the end of the project. And what's really, really awesome about making recordings of your presentation, especially for such a low cost, what's really important about this is it creates consistency in the message that you're delivering. So you know for sure what you said to the client, You know for sure what they're hearing. You can always go back and check it again. And what it does is it creates the right expectations up front, meaning that at the end of the project, your client is clear with what we started with. So if you're going to design the kitchen and you're going to put end panels on the end of the island, if that's in your recorded presentation at the end of the project, they're looking at their island with end panels on it. It's exactly what they expected. Because we all know that most issues at the end of the job are unmet expectations. Using tools like this really help us create the right foothold, the right beginning with our clients to help ensure their happiness at the end. And to give you an example of this, if you watch right now you can see a little picture of me. This is actually from a day or two ago. I recorded this from my desk. It took me literally 1 minute and 45 seconds. And if I simply go through and start to play this, I used Camtasia to capture this PowerPoint that you just saw a moment ago. This is the same PowerPoint. And theoretically, you would be hearing my voice talking about your kitchen, talking about the elevations. You'll see me move through and talk about the floor plan and details. Now, when I recorded this, I just did it so that you would have an example of what a client would actually see. But this could be 2 minutes, it could be 5 minutes, it could be 20 minutes, where you're going through and talking about the detail of the image. But again, I'm using a PowerPoint in the background, and I'm simply moving through the slides. And if you watch the little video in the right-hand corner, that's me at the time talking about the textures that are going to be used, talking about the different images, and so forth all the way through. Now, again, what's cool about that is if you have a software like I just talked about Camtasia or some of the others, you can record these presentations and share them as much as you need to with the client, and you've created that consistency and value in the presentation of the awesome renderings that you've created. Now let me move forward here, and that video is going to keep on running. Let's talk a little something about one of my favorite dealers out there, how they actually sell using these images. I'm using right now Anthony Johnson's image. I talked about Kaylee Helgett earlier. Anthony's also one of our award winners. This is a kitchen he submitted to us last year, and I like to use in my webinars. It's very easy. It's a great looking kitchen and very easy to use. Now, I have a designer south of me. When they present to their clients, they like to focus on something called ROE. Most people focus on ROI, return on investment. They're actually looking at most of the jobs they do is really about enhancing the lifestyle of their client. You know, they look and think, okay, we're going to design this space together. We're all working together, and we're going to create a space where for the next 20 years, that client is going to be making their future memories. You know, if that client sits down 20 years from now and thinks back of some of their favorite things that have ever happened in their lives, it will happen in the room that you designed. So this designer, when they present, they're very forward in showing what's going to happen in that room, why you are going to buy this space, this design from them. So what they'll do is they'll take an image out of 2020. They might put it in a PowerPoint. They might put it into another type of application. You can actually do this in show drawing layout as well in 2020. And they will note on the screen where your memories will be made. Here, your place where your most cherished memories will be made. You're watching the Sunday or hockey or football game. Down here, mixing cookie dough for the kindergarten bake sale. Over here, years, of friends gathered around the counter for social get-togethers. It's where you and your friends are going to be sharing wine and stories and fun times for the next 20 years. You know, watching the snowfall from the sink area, 20 years of your kids doing homework and school projects right there on the end of that awesome, awesome island. So I think it's a cool way to do it. Because a lot of times sales is a show. Sales is theater. And if you can create movement, you can create a connection for your client, to set something up like this literally takes you a minute or two. And think about the impact that it has with your client. Very different than somebody sliding over a black and white outline drawing of their future room and having to explain it. All of these tools are either nothing or next to nothing, and you can marry them to the incredible results that you're getting from your renderings in 2020. So return on enjoyment, ROE. Don't forget that term. Now let's talk a little bit about action. Now 2020 has what we call dynamic renderings, right? You all are familiar with it. If you change something in your floor plan, your perspectives will change as well. Now, many of you have showrooms where you have TV screens on the wall. Matter of fact, I was in a showroom the other day, had like a 75-inch flat screen on the wall where the client can sit on a sofa and look at their kitchen while the kitchen designer sits and uses their laptop to make design changes. So here's the picture or the rendering of the room, and the designer is using the laptop to make changes. As you know, if you make changes on your floor plan, the rendering automatically changes in front of the customer too. Next slide is going to talk a little bit about leveraging client smart devices. You should know today that the most powerful technology that has ever stepped foot into your showroom is actually your customer's smartphone, because that's where they're doing all their dreaming. That's where they're going out and researching product. They're looking at designs. They're getting reviews on you and me and everybody else. That's what they're using all the time. It's a very, very powerful tool. Now, what's pretty cool about that tool is there are ways that you can take advantage of the fact that they keep that device with them 24 hours a day. Matter of fact, my image here, I'm imagining that she is showing him his new space, and he's simply using the phone to move around and actually get an idea or an immersive view of what his space is going to look like. Now, here's a couple of ways you can use your client's smart device to present. Number one, remember those PowerPoints I talked about before with the templates? You could actually share those with your client, and they could sit and look at them on their iPad or their phone. There's many showrooms that actually have iPads right in the closing rooms, so your clients are looking at your presentations on your company-owned iPads. They're all there. If you're a company that doesn't want to share your information early, I would suggest having your own iPad set up in your showroom because they stay there. If you're a company like I am an open architecture kind of guy. I like to share as much as possible all the time because I feel like the more and more I prove myself to someone, the more they're going to come back to me. In that case, you might just be sharing it right to their mobile device. Now, what can you share? Let's give you a couple of ideas here. I'm going to talk about 360 panoramas in just a second. And what I mean by a 360 panorama is this. If you come back into your 2020 for a second, let's say we're looking at a perspective, okay? Here's your perspective of your room. If you'll notice in the upper left-hand corner of your screen, there is a camera, all right? That camera has a little green arrow that wraps around it. That's called 360 panorama. If you click on that, all you have to do is tell 2020 where you want to stand in the room and give it your email address. If you tell it where you want to stand and you supply your email address, 2020 will build a 360-degree panoramic view in the background. It might take 20 minutes. It might take 40 minutes. Heck, it could take an hour if it's a huge kitchen. You can actually keep working, but it's going to build it in the background. And when it is done, it is going to give you a link. Now, here's what I mean by link. If we go back over to my browser for a second, you'll notice my second tab is actually on 2020 on our panorama gallery. I'm going to show you how to get to this in just a second. If I click on an example, this is actually an example from Michelle Raymer. Michelle is one of our award winners for 2018's Inspiration Design Award Contest. We just gave her her award at KBIS in January. This is her room. This is awesome. This is Michelle's job. Again, this is not mine. This is not 2020. This is a rendering by Michelle. But you'll notice what I can do. I can actually turn. I can look at the floor. I can look at the ceiling. The whole reason I can do that is I published this. I published this to a 360 by clicking on that button right there and simply following the directions. It not only uploads it to a 360, but it actually raises the resolution level of the kitchen, makes it photorealistic, and if I go back to my PowerPoint, it sets an environment where your client can actually hold their phone up and see their future space. Now, there's another way to leverage that in your showroom. You have lots of awesome, incredible projects that you've worked on in the past. I have a friend just outside of Chicago. What they do is they actually take their old jobs, create 360 panoramas, and then in the showroom, they create QR codes, and they put little signs on the countertops. That's what this is. This is a little sign on a countertop. So you can walk into their showroom, you can walk up to a display, you can take your phone, click on the QR code reader, and when it reads the QR code, it actually takes you right to a 360-degree panoramic view of previous jobs they've worked on. So you can stand in the showroom and look at the Jones job, the Smith job, the job on Thoroughbred, or whatever it's going to be. You can connect that. I would highly recommend that you leverage and showcase your previous work. Now, see this little feature right here that's a QR code? You can actually go out online and just Google QR code generators. You can actually get a list of free QR code generators. You can simply create the link in 2020 by clicking on the camera, like I said. You take that link, you create the QR code, and anybody with a smartphone, which is everybody, can walk into your showroom and scan that and go instantly to that site. Now, we can do the same thing. Like this QR code right now, if you scan it, it will actually take you right to this image that we're looking at right now. Another way to go to that image is simply type this into your browser, panorama.2020.net/pano. This is the last item I'm going to talk about, and I will say that this is probably the most popular way to share high-end renderings with your client. If you want to see an example of it, write this down right now, panorama.2020.net/pano. And when I am done today, type that into your browser. Don't do it now, do it afterwards. Type that into your browser, and you'll be able to see what your clients can see concerning the kitchens or the bathrooms or the rooms that you've designed for them. Now, these images, when you look at them, when you see this image on a phone, you don't need to move around like I am with a mouse. You just turn your body and it moves automatically. But down here at the bottom, right here where I'm circling with my mouse, there will be a pair of goggles, okay? A pair of goggles. If you click on those goggles, it converts this image to virtual reality. It actually creates a left eye, right eye experience. If you click on the camera for 360, 2020 will automatically build these images for you. So you don't need to know anything about this technology except how to click the button and put your email address in. Once you get this image, you'll come down here, right here, you will click on that. It'll make a left eye, right eye experience. And if I go back to my PowerPoint, you can take your customer's phone. You can send them that link. They will be able to look at their kitchen as if they're immersed in that kitchen, and they'll be able to take their phone and slide it into a pair of goggles. And then they will be able to wear those goggles and feel like they're in that room. There's plastic goggles. You can get those on average about 20 bucks. They have the cardboard goggles that you can brand for your company from companies like Dodo Case. If you buy those in large quantities, you can reduce the price. And then there's always professional goggles like Oculus that you can hook to your computer. Now, let me give you an example. I get this question all the time. People say, hey, I'm in my showroom. I want to show people virtual reality, but I'm not sure what kind of goggle to buy. Well, if I go back over to my browser again, I have lots of tabs open. I happen to be in Amazon right now. I went to Amazon before this started, and I typed in VR goggles. There are, it seems like, hundreds of pages of these goggles. So you can buy goggles. They are meant for somebody's phone to slide into, and here is the recommendation that I'm going to give you. The very first one right now, this set of goggles right here is $33, okay, so relatively inexpensive. If you look right here where it says VR headset, I want you to notice it says for iPhone 7, 7 Plus, 6S, 6 Plus, all the way down to 5, Samsung Galaxy, Google, smartphone, Android. I recommend that when you buy goggles, and heck, for 33 bucks, you might as well buy 4 or 5 sets of them to keep them around your showroom. So people can walk up, scan the QR code, slide the phone in, and see your awesome previous projects that you worked on and their future project. Make sure when you buy goggles that it is for a standard phone and the plus size phone. So you want to make sure that the goggles will fit any of those phones, so pay attention to this right here. That's my best advice to you. So thanks for joining us, and I'm going to wish everyone an awesome rest of your day. Thank you.